Theodore Roosevelt said, "In a civilized country, wild animals only continue to exist at all when preserved by sportsmen. The excellent people who protest against all hunting and consider sportsmen as enemies of wildlife are ignorant of the fact that in reality, the genuine sportsman is by all odds the most important factor in keeping the larger and more valuable wild creatures from total extermination." So today I want to explain why we should be encouraging hunting and not protesting it. We need to encourage hunting. We need to encourage more people to hunt. We need to instill that into our youth the way we used to. We need to eliminate the mindset that there's anything wrong with harvesting an animal for our sustenance. We need to stop pretending that the meat in the grocery stores just magically appears there and that it doesn't come from an animal. We need to stop pretending that those animals were treated any better than an animal harvested by a hunter. We need to realize that hunters respect animals probably more than anyone else in the world. Furthermore, we need to continue our conservation efforts for many reasons that we'll explore today. So a primary reason that we should encourage hunting is that hunting is a very reasonable priced sport and a very reasonable priced way to feed your family. According to Field and Stream, you can expect to pay about $25 to $50 per deer license if you hunt in your own state. The typical deer yields about 50 pounds of raw meat, so that comes out to under $1 per pound. If you were to buy 50 pounds of beef, you're looking at $250 to $300 for that 50 pounds. So it's a significant savings for a good, healthy meat, a good, healthy way to feed your family. Rethink Rural lists a bunch of health benefits for wild game meat. It's leaner meat, mainly because wild game roams. They're not caged up, they're not stagnant, they're more muscular and less fatty. There's no drugs, hormones, or antibiotics injected, and there's a low risk of any foodborne illnesses such as salmonella or E. coli. Game meat is also a great source of CLA and omega-3 fatty acids. Along with being an affordable way to feed your family, wildlife management is another good reason to encourage hunting. So as you can see, annual hunting license sales continue to drop, trending down from the early 1980s. And along with license sales, deer harvests continue to trend down. So along with these two things, with the lack of harvesting deer, fatal accidents from wildlife collisions, the percentage of fatal accidents because of wildlife collisions is trending up. So according to the U.S. Department of Transportation, wildlife vehicle collisions are a growing problem and they represent an increasing percentage of accidents. According to Nils Peterson of North Carolina State College of Natural Resource, when deer become overpopulated in urban and residential areas, they tend to cause an increase in vehicle collisions. Regulated hunting is one of the most effective tools that a state wildlife agency can use to address the overpopulation of a species. In layman's terms, regulated hunting can help to remove the excess number of the population of these animals. Another part of wildlife management is to manage diseases in animals. So as you can see, CWD since the late 90s and early 2000s has skyrocketed because of the lack of wildlife management, because of herd population being large. When the number of any species of animals grow, it becomes a lot more difficult to manage that population, to manage the disease within that population because of gatherings. The last the last important reason for encouraging hunting is for conservation reasons. So according to Chris DePerno of North Carolina State College of Natural Resources, hunters do more to help wildlife than any other group. Regardless of the perception of unethical killing and inhumane killing of animals, hunting remains the backbone of all conservation efforts. According to Meat and Bone, by eating wild game meat, you are actually helping the environment. Hunting wild game helps control the population and prevent overgrazing, which can be a problem in certain areas. Along with conservation efforts, there's just the enjoyment of being in the outdoors and participating in a fair chase of a wild game animal. An encouraging quote from the late great Fred Bear: "Go afield with a good attitude, with respect for the forest and fields in which you walk. Immerse yourself in the outdoor experience. It will cleanse your soul and make you a better person." So what happens if we encourage people to hunt more? What happens if we get more people involved, if we instill this in our youth? Well, I can tell you what doesn't happen, or what happens if we don't do that. In the last 20 years, as hunting has decreased, food prices have increased. Almost quadruple of what they were 20 years ago for beef prices. Along with food prices increasing, car insurance increases, possibly related to more wildlife collisions because of less management and less harvests. So if we were to control the population better, maybe we have better car insurance rates because of less wildlife collisions. So I urge you to start educating people of the positive benefits of hunting and conservation. I urge you to also educate them on what happens if we don't push conservation and encourage hunting, and what can happen to our environment, what can happen to costs overall, and what can happen in general. I urge you to start educating everyone you know and start encouraging hunting and conservation.